Discover the dark truth about endings. 3 spiritual lessons you'll regret ignoring forever. The town of Silver Creek had secrets buried deep beneath its picturesque surface, secrets that whispered through the rustling leaves and echoed in the silence of the night. It was a place where shadows danced a little too long, and laughter often felt like it was trying to drown out the chilling screams that seemed to seep from the very earth. A high-pitched howl suddenly pierced the night, and folks whispered that it wasn't just the wind on those dark, moonless evenings. It was something more, something sinister. As Catherine strolled through the winding streets, a strange sensation crawled up her spine like the cold fingers of an unseen specter. She had heard the legends, the tales of those who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but ghost stories and unanswered questions. Yet there was one story that stood out, one that would forever change her understanding of endings. It was said that anyone who ignored the spiritual lessons hidden in the fabric of loss would feel a haunting presence in their lives, a reminder, perhaps, of what could never be reclaimed. Suddenly, she stumbled upon an old, crumbling gravestone, its words nearly faded away. "Here lies Marissa, seeker of truth," the inscription read. But it didn't stop there. The eerie whispers that accompanied the evening breeze spoke of Marissa's dark fate, a warning never to be brushed aside. Each local spoke about the flickering lanterns at midnight and the visions of a woman in white who warned that unheeded lessons came at a great price. Catherine could feel an odd tug at her heart, a sweet sadness mixed with a rising fear. She noticed the flicker of candlelight behind the cracked window of an abandoned house. Fools like her would venture in, chasing the mystery, chasing the thrill. She hesitated, pulse racing and legs shaking, but something pulled her closer, an insatiable curiosity that felt almost alive. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." Catherine took a deep breath, the air thick with tension. As she stepped toward the door, the old hinges creaked ominously, the sound echoing against the frightful quiet of the night. Heart pounding, she pushed inside. Dust motes danced like tiny spirits in the dim light, and the weight of history wrapped around her like a shroud. She caught a glimpse of flickering shadows, but what would they reveal? Could Marissa's fate become her own if she stayed too long? The air turned electric, filled with unspeakable truths just waiting to be unveiled. Would she heed the lessons whispered by the departed? Or would the darkness consume her, just like so many before? As she stepped into the room, a shiver traveled down Catherine's spine. The air inside was stale, like a tomb holding its breath. The flickering candlelight revealed faded wallpaper peeling away, whispering of brighter days long gone. A cold draft swept by, sending a shudder through her body. It smelled of dust and decay, mixing with the distant scent of something like burnt wood. Catherine's heart raced as she moved deeper into the house, drawn by an unseen force. Each creaking floorboard beneath her felt like a warning, yet the flickering candle beckoned her forward. What had drawn her here? A simple curiosity? Or something more dangerous? She paused, her fingers brushing against a cracked table, and silenced her breath, trying to listen to the echoes of those who had wandered here before her. Suddenly, the candle's flame flickered wildly as if caught in a gust of wind. Her gut twisted, she was not alone. Before she had time to react, a soft voice emerged from the darkness. "Catherine," the sound made her freeze. It was faint, almost ethereal. She turned abruptly but saw nothing, only shadows gliding against the walls. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling against the deepening silence. The voice replied, heavy with sadness, "You must listen or you will be lost too." Catherine felt an acute tightening in her chest. She wanted to run, but curiosity held her firm. The stories, the haunting, the woman in white, they had all led her here. She needed to know the truth behind Marissa's fate. "Show yourself," she demanded, knowing the challenge could bring dire consequences. Silence engulfed her, thick and tight. Then, as if the house itself were responding, the shadows shifted, pooling together in the corner of the room. A figure began to form, a silhouette of a woman, her white dress billowing around her like fog. Catherine's breath caught in her throat, and her heart stuttered. The figure spoke again, clearer now. You're seeking what was lost. But know this: what was lost has a way of finding those who dare to look. Before Catherine could find her voice, the woman raised a hand, and the candlelight brightened momentarily, illuminating visions swirling around them. Images of laughter, tears, and heartache flickered before her eyes like a disjointed film reel. Marissa, Catherine gasped, recognizing the woman from the tales told around town. The figure slowly shook her head, sadness etching deeper into her features. You ignore the lessons of loss, and you'll end up like me, trapped between worlds. A sharp pang gripped Catherine's heart, an overwhelming wave of dread crashing over her. I'll find a way to save you, she pleaded, stepping closer, her voice barely a whisper. Not all endings can be rewritten, Marissa replied, her voice almost a sigh as the glow waned. The shadows closing in again, Catherine felt a pressing weight at her back. It was as if the very walls were leaning toward her, hungry, urging her to abandon the chilling encounter. The moment felt like a dream turning into a nightmare. She turned to flee but stumbled as the ground seemed to tremble beneath her. Just before she vanished from view, Marissa's voice lingered, echoing through the air like the last breath of a storm. The truth will find you, Catherine, but will you be ready to face it? As Catherine bolted from the house, heart pounding in her ears, she felt the darkness closing in. The secrets of Silver Creek were alive, waiting to consume her like a voracious beast hungry for a soul unprepared for its reckoning. And the chilling night. She narrowly escaped, but at what cost? What truths lingered in the shadows, and what awaited her return? Catherine stumbled into the cool night air, her heart racing and mind reeling from what she had just encountered. The echoes of Marissa's somber voice lingered, piercing through the night like shards of glass. Not all endings can be rewritten. Those words wrapped around her, squeezing tightly, impossibly heavy as she raced away from the house. Branches clawed at her arm. The wind whispered secrets that tickled her ear like murmurs of the dead. What awaited her was a chilling reckoning. She could feel it dancing at the edge of her consciousness. It tempted her to confess, to question, to embrace the answer she sought. Catherine turned down a narrow path that led to the town square, her feet pounding against the cobblestones. The memories of Marissa with her haunting, pleading eyes surged forward, recalling the bond they once shared as childhood friends, now twisted into this tragic enigma of loss. It was as if the ghostly presence of her past insisted she uncover the buried threads that tied their fates together. The town seemed eerily quiet, the kind of silence that draped over everything like a thick fog. Lights flickered softly from the windows of the houses, casting elongated shadows that danced along the street. Shadows much like the ones that had enveloped Marissa, lurking just out of sight. Catherine's pulse quickened with each step closer to the flickering lamp post in the center of the square. Why did you come back, Catherine? A voice called from the shadows. Startled, she spun toward the voice, her mind racing with fear. It was Sam, her old neighbor, standing just beneath the light, a figure she had known well, yet now felt foreign. The house, she began, but her words were caught in her throat. Sam stepped forward, eyes wide with concern that shifted into something darker. They left a mark, didn't they? He murmured, glancing back into the night. The ones who linger beyond, they'll draw you in. They'll tempt you with truths that unveil more pain. Catherine shivered at his words. What do you know about Marissa? She pressed, yearning for clarity, for connection amidst the overwhelming fear. More than you think, he replied, his gaze piercing into her. But the truth is not always what it seems. There are secrets buried deep, old scars, and once you uncover them, there's no going back. She wasn't just lost, she was taken. Taken. The word hit her with gut-wrenching force. Taken, as if by some dark force that feasted on sorrow. It made her question everything, her belief that the living could raise the dead, that she could rewrite a story with enough love or sacrifice. Catherine, Sam suddenly said, urgency crashing over him. Listen to me. There are dangers here darker than you can imagine. You have to choose wisely if you plan on going back. Remember, what was taken from you may not want to return. There's got to be something I can do, she insisted, breathless, the weight of the unknown anchoring her heart. Sam's expression shifted, shadows flickering in his eyes. Sometimes truths take root in our fears. If you dare to look deeper into your own heart, you may find not just Marissa, but the darkness inside you as well. With those haunting words he stepped back, merging into the gloom. Catherine stood there, trembling, feeling the chill of his warning wrap around her like a suffocating shroud. The pulse of the town faded, and the air became thick with the promise of something terrible brewing once more. "Am I ready to face it?" she whispered to the night, feeling the depth of uncertainty. The road ahead felt like a tightrope stretched over a chasm, begging for her to step off, but before she could make her decision, another gust of wind rattled through the square, carrying a low moan that echoed her doubts. "You'll return," it seemed to say, but at what cost? As the night loomed heavy around her, Catherine knew she would have to confront the shadows both outside and within. What awaited her on this path was cloaked in mystery, but she felt one undeniable truth: the journey had only just begun. And in the silence of that dark night, a whispered promise lingered in the air. "You'll soon find out what it truly means to face your fears." Catherine's heart pounded in her chest as shadows stretched like fingers, reaching for her. She could feel the weight of Sam's words pressing against her mind. The truth was buried deep, and if she kept digging, she might find not just Marissa but a darkness within herself that could consume her whole. She stepped back, unsure of her next move. The night felt alive, every rustle of leaves and creak of wood amplifying her fears. She turned her gaze to the distant outlines of her childhood home, silhouetted against the moon. It hovered there, an anchor to everything she had lost and everything she could possibly find. But what if it was a trap? What if, by returning, she signed away her own sanity? Catherine, the voice was different this time, softer, almost pleading. It seemed to flow from the very shadows, wrapping its tendrils around her. She felt a wave of nausea, a dizzying pull to drift toward the source. But she had to keep her distance. She wouldn't lose herself to the darkness that had taken others. "Marissa?" she called, though the name caught in her throat. "Is that you?" A chill swept over her, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she might see her friend, her fiery spirit, those glittering eyes that had once sparkled with mischief. But the vision was swallowed by the night. "No, it's not her." A voice chimed back, familiar yet wrong. It was Alice, the old woman from across the street. "You have to stay away, dear. The lost don't return unharmed. You hear me?" A soft rattle of her breath echoed in the quiet, her silhouette a darkened shape. The lines of her face exuded worry. "Why is everyone so afraid?" Catherine shouted, frustration erupting. "What happened to Marissa?" Alice took a step closer, her hands shaking. "Some things should stay buried. You can't unearth what has gone. The town wasn't always like this. There's a reason we pretend. You really want to find the truth? The costs might be more than you're willing to pay." Suddenly, a sharp cry pierced the night, the haunting wail of a woman echoing through the square. Catherine spun around, her heart raced, its rhythmic thud drowned by a rising panic. She felt as if the very ground beneath her could crack open and swallow her. "Don't let it call you," Alice warned, desperation tinging her voice. "Whatever that is, it took Marissa, and it will take you too." Catherine stared into the darkness, drawn toward the sound as if it were a siren's song. She had to know the truth. Fear rippled through her. Would she be strong enough to handle what lay ahead? In that moment, Catherine felt the choice shift in her chest, like a weight teetering on the edge of a scale. The ache of loss flared within her, battling against her instincts. "I have to know. I have to find her, Alice." "No." The word tore through Alice's lips, fierce and desperate. "You don't understand. Sometimes what?" Catherine snapped, her voice shaking. "Sometimes the truth is better than ignorance. Sometimes it's worth the risk." A sharp wind howled, drowning them both in its fury. Shadows twisted, blurred faces beckoning. The echo returned, more insistent, shivering in the air like a flickering flame. "Catherine, come to me," she hesitated, heart caught between fear and yearning. The path ahead split toward the shadows, whispering their dark secrets, or away, back to the safety of the light. With a determined breath, she steadied herself. "I'll find my way back to you, Marissa. Promise." But stepping forward into the darkness, Catherine felt the tide of dread rise. What was taken may never wish to return, Alice's voice echoed in her mind. And just then, she caught sight of eyes glowing in the distance, reflecting the remnants of light. She neared. Dread settled deep within her. Was it Marissa? Or something else entirely? Each step sliced through the tension like a knife, and with every heartbeat, the shadows responded, swirling closer, wrapping around her in a shroud of uncertainty. The truth loomed ahead, and every instinct screamed at her to stop, but the whispers were relentless. Come find me. Catherine, would she be brave enough to step forward into that abyss? Or would she crumble beneath the pressure, and let the darkness consume her before she ever found out? As she approached the blinding eyes, a gnawing question fell from her lips, almost as a plea. What do you want from me? The pulse quickened. An answer hung in the air, thick with tension waiting to reveal itself. Would she be ready to pay the price for her quest? The eyes blinked slowly, revealing not Marissa, but a shadowy figure clad in a tattered cloak that hung like forgotten memories. It stepped forward, revealing a face marked by sorrow and an unsettling familiarity. Catherine's breath caught in her throat. Who are you? She demanded, though her voice trembled. The figure's breath was shallow, each exhale a ghostly whisper. I am what remains, what the darkness leaves behind. It stepped closer, the shadows shifting around it, undulating like a living thing. You seek the one you've lost. But know this. Not all who wander return. Catherine's heart raced as she tried to decipher the aura that surrounded the figure. Where's Marissa? What did you do to her? The words tumbled out, raw and desperate. The figure tilted its head, the shadows creasing around its features. Did she not tell you? She was never meant to return. She heard the call just as you do now. A chill coursed through Catherine's veins. The truth hit her like ice water. You manipulated her. It was more accusation than question. Manipulation is a human concept, it replied. Marissa wanted to be found. That yearning for the truth lured her, as it calls you. The shadows promise clarity, but they extract a price only the brave or foolish are willing to pay. No, I want to become like her. Catherine clenched her fists, shaking her head in denial. I want to. Are you so sure? The figure's voice dripped with a knowingness that made sweat bead on Catherine's brow. You stand at the edge of a precipice, and the truth waits just beneath your feet. It takes more than courage to dive into this darkness. In that moment, a sudden gust of wind swept through, rattling the branches of trees surrounding the square. The cloaked figure staggered slightly, and for a split second, the veil of shadows parted, revealing glimpses of horror phantoms of lost souls. Their faces etched in pain and longing, flickered to life, each one a warning of the consequences ahead. Catherine covered her mouth, heart pounding like a drum. What are they? Those are the remnants of the lost breadcrumbs of choices made long ago. Every truth unearthing leads to more shadows, and they long for someone to join them. The figure's voice grew softer, coaxing. Follow me, and you too can find peace and understanding. Are you ready? She gasped, backing away from the darkness tangling at her feet. I don't want to join them. I want Marissa back. With each forceful step backward, the whispers crescendoed into a chaotic choir, echoing her name. Catherine, come to us. Emotions collided within her. Anger, determination, desperation. I'll never give in to you. I have to save Marissa. Beware, child, the figure warned, eyes cold and calculating. Your resolve may be your undoing. Then, without warning, the shadows tightened their grip around her ankles, pulling her toward the dark figure. She stumbled and felt herself tipping over the edge of reality, her world spiraling. No, let me go, Catherine thrashed, panic seizing her body as the voices enveloped her, raw fear choking her throat. Desperate, she reached for anything, her fingers clawing at the AI or in a burst of clarity. A single thought sliced through the chaos. She had to fight. She would not forsake Marissa or herself. Just as she summoned the last of her strength, an image flashed in her mind, the two of them as children, laughing, running through the woods, warm sunlight chasing shadows away. I want to lose you. With newfound determination, she cried out Marissa's name, her voice strong enough to break through the abyss. The shadow figure faltered, uncertain. Catherine seized the moment and pulled against the shadows bound to her, breaking free with sheer force of will. The darkness recoiled, shrieking in displeasure as she stumbled back, breathless but alive. Come back, the figure hissed, its voice reverberating through the night air. You don't know what you're rejecting. Catherine turned on her heels, bolting toward the faint outlines of the town, heart pounding in her ears. As she neared the edge where light began to reclaim the darkness, a warning echo resonated behind her. This is only the beginning, Catherine. The truth will always find a way. Her heart raced faster, an electrifying mix of terror and hope. The night felt heavier, charged with uncertainty. Would she dare reach for the light, knowing the shadows still lurked? Fear twisted in her gut with each step, but she couldn't stop now. The quest for Marissa was just beginning, and the scars of the past hadn't finished revealing themselves. Somewhere deep within her, a question lingered heavy and suffocating. How deep would she have to go to save her friend? She took a deep breath, pushing forward. There was no turning back. Catherine ran, every beat of her heart echoing like a war drum against the night. The edge of the town was in sight, yet her mind swirled with the shadow figure's chilling words. Each step took her further from the darkness, but the warnings lingered like smoke. The truth will always find a way. What did that mean for her? She burst into the main square, the flickering lights illuminating familiar faces. The street was quiet, almost too quiet. Shadows danced in the corners, flickering like the remnants of nightmares. Townsfolk were out, but they paid her no mind, their expressions vacant, as if they were part of the whisper she had just escaped. Were they among those the shadow figure had warned her about? Were they lost too? A chill teased the back of her neck and she spun around. The dark figure would come for her, of that she was certain. But how? It had reached for her with the shadows woven into its very being. Catherine! A voice pierced the stillness. Ben, her childhood friend. He emerged from a side street, his face drawn with concern. Where have you been? I was worried sick. She wanted to collapse into his arms, to let the warmth of familiarity wash over her. But the image of the shadow's face twisted her thoughts. I can't stay, Ben. I think something is wrong, something horrible. What do you mean? Ben stepped closer, eyes narrowing. You're shaking. Is everything okay? No, everything is not okay. She caught her breath and glanced around as if the darkness itself was lingering nearby. Marissa is gone, and someone has taken her. I need to find her. His brow furrowed in confusion. Catherine, what are you talking about? She's been missing for weeks. You can't just listen to me. Her voice rose, desperation clawing at her. She heard things, whispers, and now I think they've got her. They took her into the shadows and I saw a figure the moment hung between them, heavy with unspoken fears. Ben's eyes softened. Okay, let us figure this out together. Maybe we can know. She cut him off, her heart racing at the thought of dragging him into this darkness. You can't. It's too dangerous. You don't understand. And you think you do? He shot back, frustration spilling over. You can't just run off alone into the dark. You'll get yourself killed. Their argument echoed through the deserted square, a desperation-filled dance of emotions. But there was no time. Each heartbeat urged her forward, each pulse a reminder of Marissa's absence. Before she could respond, something shifted behind Ben. A gust of wind whipped through, and the streetlights flickered, casting long shadows in every direction. The hushed whispers returned, woven into the fabric of night. Catherine's breath caught in her throat. Ben, behind you! She yelled, her voice shrill with panic. He spun around just in time to see the darkness coalesce, taking form from the fog rolling in off the nearby woods. The whispering soared, rising like a crescendo before a storm, the very atmosphere heavy with dread. The figure emerged no longer just a silhouette but a grotesque parody of the human form. Its face was indistinct, a mass of shadows that could shift from familiar to nightmarish in a blink. Catherine's heart slammed against her ribs. The figure raised a hand, fingers elongated and twisted. You cannot escape, Catherine. The truth is yours to unveil. Once lost, always drawn back. Run! She screamed at Ben, pushing him back. But he didn't understand. He stood frozen, staring in horror at the creature before him. Catherine, what is that? It's the shadows, she shouted, fear gripping her voice. They lie. They take what you love. Where's Marissa? What did you do with her? Seek and you will find, the creature murmured, the words slinking like slithering serpents. But she is not the only one lost in the dark. A cold weight settled on her chest. There was something more, a thread connecting her fears to the creature's words. What had Marissa truly discovered? What had she left behind? Catherine turned to Ben, her heart racing. The truth. We have to go deeper. As they ran, the echo of laughter from the lost souls reverberated around them, hinting at the sacrifices yet to come. How could they save Marissa if they didn't confront the darkness that had claimed her? The woods were looming ahead, darkness creeping closer around their ankles. The pull was undeniable, drawing her toward the heart of the mystery. She reached for Ben's hand, ready or not. "We can't stop now." Something shifted in the shadows behind them. A familiar voice tumbling through the darkness. "Catherine, Marissa?" It came clearer, and Catherine felt the weight of purpose settle around her. She couldn't turn back now. "I'm coming." But was she prepared for what awaited her next? Just how far down this rabbit hole would she have to go to pull her friend back from the brink? And what new revelations lay buried in the darkness, waiting for her to uncover? Catherine's heart pounded in her chest as she and Ben plunged toward the trees, the whispers gnawing at their heels. Every rustle of leaves sounded like a warning, every shadow like a lurking predator. The darkness closed in around them, thick and heavy, wrapping around their legs like icy fingers. "Marissa!" Catherine called out, hoping her voice would pierce through the gloom, hoping it would reach her friend. The trees loomed overhead, tall and twisted, their branches reaching out like skeletal hands. She felt the weight of something ancient, something sinister, lurking just beyond the edges of her vision. Ben stumbled beside her, his breath coming in sharp, panicked gasps. "Catherine, what if we're sure?" She snapped, urgency driving her forward. "You don't get it. She needs us. We have to find her." They weaved between the trees, quickening their pace. The path twisted and turned, an unyielding labyrinth, and with each step, Catherine felt the ground beneath them shift. The landscape around them pulsed with a strange energy, creeping with an unsettling life. Dark shapes flitted between the trees, dancing just out of sight, taunting them with their presence. "Catherine, wait!" Ben grabbed her arm, pulling her to a stop. His face was pale, fear etched across his features. "Have you thought about what this means? We're risking everything. What if we can't come back?" She looked at him, her heart torn. Could she risk him? But then it hit her, Marissa was out there. Alone. "We've come too far," she insisted, fighting the knot of fear tightening in her throat. "We can't turn back now. She's counting on us." Just then, a cold and clammy breeze swept through the trees, stirring the shadows around them. Catherine felt it, a shift in the air, a presence watching. Images of Marissa's smile flickered in her mind, urging her onwards. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, her breath hitching. "What?" Ben's voice was barely audible, a whisper lost in the rustling leaves. "The voice, it's close." She mounted her resolve. "Come on." They pressed deeper, the shadows feeling almost alive. The wind howled around them, echoing her thoughts. "Seek and you will find." The creature's words returned, a haunting reminder. "Catherine." The voice emerged again, closer now, mingling with the whispers around them. "I'm here." "Marissa." She rushed forward, despair and determination mingling at the edges of her consciousness. Suddenly, the trees parted, revealing a clearing. Moonlight spilled down like a spotlight, illuminating a figure hunched on the ground. Heart racing, Catherine rushed forward. "Marissa." But as she approached, her blood ran cold. The figure in the moonlight was not her friend, but something else, something wrong. Elongated limbs twisted at odd angles. The face turned to her, obscured by shadows, but familiar in a way that made her skin crawl. "Marissa?" "No," Ben shouted, unwilling to move from her side. "Don't get too close. It is tempting to let go, isn't it?" The figure croaked, voice like dry leaves. "To give in to the darkness? It's warm here." Catherine recoiled. "What have you done to her?" "Her truths are not your truths," the figure hissed, shadow interwoven with reality. "We are all drawn to the truth of what we fear, but fear is a powerful master." "Marissa!" Catherine screamed, frustration boiling over as she reached forward. "Fight it. We need you." But as she grasped the figure's shoulder, it twisted violently, casting her aside as if she were nothing more than a wisp of smoke. Ben caught her, pulling her back as the figure started to shift, morphing, twisting into a horrifying amalgamation of familiar faces, all those lost to darkness. "Catherine, we need to go," Ben shouted, his eyes wide with terror. They couldn't withstand the force of what they were witnessing. A cacophony of lost voices rose, mingling with the shadows, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. Catherine felt a cold dread clawing at her gut. "But Marissa, no. We can't save them all." With his grip tightening around her wrist, Ben began dragging her backward, away from the horror, but she felt the pull of recognition, their whispers, each voice beckoning her closer, threatening to drag her under. We can't leave her, Catherine cried, wrestling against his hold, panic gripping her. We became part of it. A new voice, familiar yet chilling, echoed through the void. Embrace the shadows, Catherine. Suddenly, a blinding flash lit the clearing, illuminating the looming trees and the faces of the lost. Catherine shielded her eyes, but the words continued to barrage her mind. This is but the beginning. The truth will always find a way. Can you hear them? Ben's voice was barely audible, muffled beneath the weight of the chaos. As the shadows started to swirl violently, Catherine's head spun. The stakes were rising. Would she face whatever grotesque truths awaited, or would she succumb to the darkness, just like Marissa? And then the ground shook violently. A sudden urge to flee surged through her. Run, Ben. Now. But as they turned to escape, the shadows exploded outward. And she knew in that moment, they were not done losing people to the night. Some truths were buried deep, waiting for the right moment to resurface, and soon they would be faced with the darkness once more. What awaited them next? What truths would have to be unveiled for salvation or damnation? The ground quaked beneath them, as if the earth itself rebelled against the dark forces swirling in the clearing. Shadows whipped around Catherine and Ben like tendrils of smoke, threatening to constrict them in an inescapable grip. Catherine's heart raced as she scanned the darkness, desperate for any sign of Marissa. Catherine, keep your head. Ben's voice was rising above the chaos, his grip on her wrist unyielding. We need to find a way out. But escape felt like a distant memory. Each whisper seemed to echo her heart's confusion, filling the air with questions and taunts. What if you never find her? They hissed. What if this is all there is? Stop. You're lying. She screamed, trying to drown out the voices. She took a breath, steeling herself against the rising fear. We can't give in. We have to fight. In the distance, she caught movement, a flicker of something, a glimpse of white fabric as it danced in the shadows. Was it Marissa? She steadied herself, letting Ben's hand guide her forward, heart in her throat, hope igniting a flicker within her. Catherine. No. It's a trap. Ben pulled at her, but she couldn't turn back. The urge to reach out was too strong, pulling her closer to the darkness. The forms around them began to take shape, swarming like feral beasts, mocking their bravery. One figure stepped forward, more defined now, a face distorted but familiar. You're too late, it whispered, a chilling sound that reverberated through her bones. You always will be. Catherine gasped. Marissa. No. Please. The urge to run surged within her, but a new sensation gripped her defiance. I want to believe you. Why struggle? The figure taunted, a twisted smile forming on its lips. So much easier to submit. Just let go. Catherine, we have to go. Ben pulled harder, his voice laced with panic. But the more they fought, the stronger the hold the shadows seemed to have. It was as if the very air thickened around them, suffocating their resolve. Suddenly, a wailing scream pierced through the cacophony, raw and heart-wrenching. It stopped Catherine in her tracks, the sound crashing over her like a tidal wave. Marissa! She yelled, a mixture of fear and sorrow clawing at her throat. Let her go. Ben pleaded, desperation clawing at his voice. But all around them the shadows pulsed, snaking nearer, threatening to drown them in despair. Catherine felt it, a wave of darkness, alive and seething. Marissa, fight it! She screamed again, this time with all the strength she could muster. You can beat this. In that moment the figure hesitated. For just a heartbeat the shadows faltered. Catherine, the voice echoed softly from the figure, fracturing the cruel facade. Help me. Without thinking, Catherine lunged forward, desperation coursing through her veins like fire. I'm here. I want to leave you behind. But the shadows surged around her, all-consuming and hungry. And what will you sacrifice? The figure's voice turned into a chorus of torment. You can't save her without losing part of yourself. Enough! Ben roared, pushing against the encroaching darkness. Together, they braced themselves, forcing unity into their stance, fighting through the storms of despair crashing down around them. In a flash, Catherine remembered the warmth of friendship, of laughter shared and promises made. With one last surge of strength, she raised her hands, a beacon against the encroaching waves. Marissa, we love you. Come back to us. The shadows stirred uneasily, and for a moment silence hung thick in the air. Catherine's breath hitched. Had she said too much? Or had she awakened something powerful? Slowly, a light began to filter through the darkness. It shimmered like a surviving star, pushing back the shadows inch by inch. But as the light grew, so did the screaming. The illusions began to collapse, faces distorted, their mouths twisted in pain. "It's not over." The voices shrieked in a sinister chorus. "We'll be back for you." Ben and Catherine tightened their grip on each other. "Don't let go," he shouted, and their hands formed a tether against the overwhelming chaos. Just then, the ground trembled once more, and a fissure opened beneath their feet. They had moments, just moments, to decide. Would they leap into the unknown, confronting what lay ahead? Or would they be swallowed whole by the secrets the darkness had yet to reveal? As the shadows clawed at their heels, they faced their choice. Both of them took a breath, suddenly aware. Some truths bury themselves in silence, but others give birth to hope. "Together?" Ben asked, searching her eyes for assurance. "Together," Catherine yelled, feeling the tremor beneath her feet. And with a primal scream, they jumped into the swirling abyss. But what awaited them on the other side? Friends? Enemies? Or a fate darker than they ever could have imagined? The darkness enveloped them completely as they plunged into the churning void. Wind roared in their ears, a deafening, howling force pulling them apart. Time stretched and warped, and for a moment there was only the sensation of falling. Shadows raced past like fleeting memories, taunting them with faces that were familiar yet twisted. Then, with a violent jolt, they landed. The impact was soft yet jarring, like plunging into a lake after an endless drop. Catherine gasped as they rolled onto cool grass, the scent of damp earth filling her lungs. She blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of her surroundings. "Ben," she gasped, turning to see him beside her, half propped on one elbow, eyes wide. "I think we made it." His voice trembled as he scanned the area. But still, uncertainty lingered. Wherever they had emerged, it was unlike anything they had ever seen. The sky was a deep indigo, dotted with swirling clouds that looked almost sentient. A forest loomed ahead, its trees black silhouettes against the strange hues above. Light flickered like fireflies, but none were bright enough to fill the pervasive gloom. "Marissa!" Catherine shouted, the name echoing into the stillness, her panic rising again. She stood, brushing herself off and squinting into the trees. "We need to find her. She must be here." Ben grasped her hand, his face stricken with worry. "Wait, something isn't right." He pulled her closer, his voice a grim whisper. "Do you feel that? It's like something is watching." Chills ran down her spine. She strained her ears, listening. The sound of rustling leaves was punctuated by faint whispers, words that were just out of reach. They felt intimate, conspiratorial, brewing around them like a storm. "Catherine, we have to be careful," Ben warned, his eyes scanning the perimeter. "We don't know what kind of place this is. We might not be alone." A sudden rustle sounded from the underbrush, making both of them jump. Catherine's heart thundered in her chest, and she raised her fists, ready to defend. A figure emerged, staggering out of the shadows. "Marissa?" The sight before them froze her in place. It was indeed Marissa, but twisted and worn, her clothes tattered and muddy. Her hair hung like tangled vines, and her skin was pale, a shadow of the vibrant person Catherine knew. "Catherine," Marissa croaked, her voice raw as if pulled from the depths of despair. "You have to leave. You shouldn't have come here." "What are you talking about?" Catherine's voice trembled as terror pierced through her. "We came to save you." Marissa shook her head violently, tears glistening in her eyes. "No, you're not safe. The shadows they'll take you to. You're too late." A sudden cacophony erupted from the trees. Shadows swarmed, emerging like dark clouds from the very ground. Tendrils reached for them, piercing through the fabric of reality, thrumming with malevolence. "Ben!" Catherine shouted, panic spilling from her lips as the shadows coiled around Marissa. "Help her!" But the shadows were everywhere, swirling, enveloping their friend, filling the air with utter chaos as her scream shattered the silence. Everything twisted in a frenzied dance. "Fight it! Marissa, fight!" Ben yelled, his voice barely manageable over the rising chaos. "Run!" Marissa screamed, her face contorted in peril. "Or you'll lose yourselves." "Catherine!" Ben grabbed her arm, desperate. "We need to go. Now." But Catherine was rooted to the spot. She couldn't leave Marissa behind, not like this. The air was thick with a suffocating dread. But the bonds of friendship were stronger. With a determination she didn't know she had, Catherine stepped forward. Marissa, we're not leaving you. The shadows continued to close in, weaving around her legs, pulling at her with ghostly fingers. You don't understand. It's not just darkness. It's a part of you now. It won't let us go. All at once a searing light appeared, pushing sharply against the encroaching dark. Catherine squinted, her heart racing. Hold on to each other, Ben shouted, breaking the spell of fear. Together we can push it back. In that moment, Catherine felt the warmth of Ben's hand against hers, anchoring her in the tempest. Marissa, we love you. We are not leaving you behind. Could love defeat this overwhelming terror? With all the strength she could muster, Catherine squeezed Ben's hand tighter, ready to break the chains of darkness. Would they transcend this horror together? Or was the abyss already claiming them? As shadows writhed and clawed around them, the light began to flicker, teetering on the brink. Would love be enough to ignite a fire against the onslaught of despair? Or would they be consumed, losing their very souls to the darkness? Catherine felt the shadows skirting around her like frozen fingers, tugging at her resolve. Marissa, hold on, she yelled, desperation clawing at her throat. The darkness pulsed, twisting and lunging, feeling palpable and alive. We won't let you go. No. Marissa's voice echoed in pain, hollow and full of fear. It's too late for me. Get out while you can. Every syllable from her lips scraped against Catherine's heart, threatening to break it. Ben squeezed Catherine's hand tight, steadying her through the chaos. We have to fight, he shouted. We can't lose her. We are not leaving you behind. Catherine focused on Marissa, remembering all their shared laughter, the moments of warmth that painted their memories bright. We love you, Marissa. The words burst from her like a lifeline, threading through the murky air. You're not alone. Fight with us. The shadows deepened, roaring in response. You can't save her, they hissed, their voices layered with torment. She belongs to us now. Deep within the chaos, Catherine felt a small flicker of hope igniting. It was the bond they once shared, the friendship that could pierce through any darkness. Marissa, she called, lowering her voice to reach her friend's heart. Remember our adventures? Remember the day we promised to always be there for each other? Don't let the dark take you. Marissa trembled, her features softening as Catherine's words sifted through the despair that encased her. I can't fight it, she cried, tears streaming down her face as the shadows closed in. Yes, you can. You just have to believe. Catherine pressed her resolve, feeling the warmth of her memories bubble to the surface. She could almost feel Marissa closer now, the light penetrating through the layers of darkness. Suddenly, a blinding beam exploded from within Catherine and Ben, the shadows recoiling in fright. Stay with us, Ben yelled, pouring every ounce of courage into his voice. The beam of light swelled, illuminating the area around them, pushing the shadows back. Catherine felt Marissa's presence shift, the connection rekindling, stitched with golden threads of love and friendship deep within their hearts. I won't give in. Marissa's voice broke free of the gloom, surging forth in defiance, powerful as a storm. I will fight. With those words, the swirling shadows shrieked in agony, the dark tendrils retracting and snapping like frayed ropes. The once oppressive gloom began to dissipate. Light surged around them like a glowing river, pulling Marissa from its clutches. Marissa! Catherine reached out, her heart racing as bright tendrils of light coiled around her friend, lifting her up. With one final push, Marissa broke free from the darkness, her features illuminated, and their eyes met. In that moment, the bond of friendship forged generations in the making reformed. Together, they shouted, hands clasped tight. The light roared, swallowing the remnants of shadows, sending them screaming into oblivion. The air crackled with electricity as the piercing cries faded, leaving only warmth and quietude. Ben yanked Catherine and Marissa into an embrace. We did it, he breathed, disbelief mingled with exhilaration. Marissa's body shook as she took deep, shuddering breaths, her color returning. I thought I lost you both. Catherine hugged her tighter, tears spilling down her cheeks. You were never lost. We just needed to fight for you. Marissa pulled back, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "You really came for me." They looked into each other's eyes, a renewed understanding weaving between them, a promise that they would never again allow the darkness to divide them. But beneath the shimmering surface, an echo of the shadow lingered in the air, whispering of futures unknown, tales yet to be woven by their hands. The clearing dimmed as the world shifted around them, painting the light from within towards a brighter horizon. Could they ever truly escape the remnants of darkness that lingered? Only time would tell. "Let us go home," Catherine suggested, gripping Marissa's hand fiercely, the warmth reminding her that they still had so much to conquer as friends. As they turned, a new path glimmered ahead, framed by leaves glistening with golden light, a way back to the town of Silver Creek. Together they took the first steps forward, embracing the bond that would carry them through whatever shadows were yet to come. And in that moment, they found clarity, the lesson to always hold on to each other, to unearth the truth and to brave the darkness together. Love, they realized, would always light their way. Now it's time for you to take action. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to help support the channel and feed the algorithm. And flood the comments section with your reactions and mind-blowing theories about this epic conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful journey. Let us spread the light together.